Welcome, and thank you for joining us at this year's Student Advocates Conference. I'm Chris Lowry, Indiana Commissioner for Higher Education, and I am thrilled to be joined by Governor Eric Holcomb. Thank you for joining us this morning, Governor, and thank you for your significant support and leadership around the shared items in the Commission's legislative priorities and, of course, the Governor's Next Level agenda. The 2023 legislative session saw a lot of big wins for higher education in Indiana. Our partners and staff have been hard at work implementing these new policies and programs. With these positive changes to higher education and to K-12, from K-12 to post-secondary pipeline, I am sure there are a lot of questions for those participating today. This conference has been specifically designed to address those questions and provide more information on what's to come. I encourage all of you to explore our workshops led by the Commission staff, who are the subject matter experts on these initiatives. Today, we're going to dive into the Indiana College Core, 21st Century Scholars, FAFSA changes, supporting our military and adult learners, career and technical education, the revised outcomes-based performance funding formula, and Indiana pre-admissions. As I alluded to earlier, 2023 marked one of the most successful legislative sessions for higher education in history. The Commission for Higher Education gives credit to you, Governor, for really championing and leading some of the state's biggest changes in partnership with members of the House and Senate. The cornerstone, of course, was the 21st Century Scholars automatic enrollment. Governor, could you share with our audience why you chose this to be one of your top education priorities for the Next Level agenda?
Well, thank you, Chris, and thanks for the compliments. But better than anyone, this is a team sport, and you were directing and steering and encouraging and ear to the ground throughout the whole state of Indiana, and providing really counsel and direction on kind of how we would take it to the next level to fit inside that agenda. And I think in our earlier discussions, there's just no time to waste, not a second more or a day more. And when you think about what's at stake, when you think about how fast time flies, we've got this talent pipeline, and it is, quite honestly, I'm proud, it's working for tens of thousands of students. And we want to make sure it's working for everyone. And so we don't want to leave anyone behind. And that's kind of the whole thought is, how do we expand the capacity of the talent pipeline and then plug any leaks along the way? And all these different programs are designed to do just that, to address each different scenario.
Governor, I couldn't agree more. And to steal a phrase you said to me last year, let's run up the score. So building on that effort, I also want to thank you, members of the State Budget Committee and others, for supporting the increase to the Frank O'Bannon Award by 35%. Obviously, you know, and I do, and probably a lot of folks with us today, that was going back all the way to 2009 and restoring those cuts, because the talent pipeline and our fellow Hoosiers deserve this. You know, I've been saying to everyone I meet that we need to start shedding the Hoosier humility, and we need to start sharing what Indiana is doing really well. You know, you and I talk about these things, and I really want everyone who's joined us today, by the way, Governor, about 1,000 people. Yeah, Indiana is first in the Midwest, fifth in the nation in need-based financial aid. And of course, that doesn't even include the 3 financial aid updates that passed this previous session. So I think we're going to rise even from there nationally. You know, the Frank O'Bannon increase, the FAFSA requirement that went into effect this year, you know, these things are leading to more immediate changes that will allow us to build upon the 21st Century Scholars auto enrollment. Governor, why do you think it's important that Indiana take the lead on these initiatives like state financial aid and the FAFSA requirement?
Well, they are magnetic to begin with. They attract in and of themselves families who are seeking to hopefully realize the American dream. That's put your kids through school and encourage them and support them as far as they want to go. in whatever direction it is that they want to, whatever passion that they have bottled up, whatever they want to pursue, and to think about how our state is growing. We start with some advantages. I think our location. Some may argue otherwise, but we're kind of right in the middle of it all. We're the crossroads of America, which means that all roads lead to and from and through our state. And so how do we capitalize on that location? And we have, in terms of manufacturing, advanced manufacturing, life sciences, et cetera. And increasingly, we're leaning into these other sectors, hypersonics, microelectronics, that are very high demand and high wage opportunities. And so when you think about our location, our tax and regulatory environment, what everyone needs is talent. That's kind of the linchpin to it all. You could say housing as well, but if you don't have the talent, then you don't necessarily need the houses. But we truly do have it all. And so for us, it's how do we make the tweaks? How do we make the changes that, again, are going to scream out to the world, not in a humble way, but with a little swagger, that if you're looking to get ahead in life, there are programs in Indiana for families, for parents, for students, for folks who want to reskill, adults who want to reskill, to realize these other opportunities that are coming our way. Again, many times at kind of double or triple that salary that you once envisioned.
So, Governor, I'm going to start stealing from you a couple of things you said starting today. Indiana is building the American dream for our fellow Hoosiers. And every time I say, let's abandon the Hoosier humility, I'm going to say we need a little swagger. So just note right now.
The Colts and the Pacers have a little swagger right now.
I'm telling you, they do. Yeah, so this is just additive to it, right? They're part of the next level agenda.
There we go.
Yeah. So as you and I were talking earlier, the automatic enrollment of 21st century scholars, just monumental, right? Yeah. More than double the number of students enrolled, and we're going to continue that trend each year. Unbelievable. This is just such a significant commitment from the Indiana General Assembly, from you, from our fellow Hoosiers, thank you, of which we're going to continue to see just incredible effects for generations to come. The Commission and our K-12 and community partners, as you know, are already shifting resources and efforts from the recruitment side to student success. Of course, this is going to ensure we not only are enrolling these students into the 21st Century Scholars Program, but even more importantly, that these students are supported and prepared for higher education and whatever is next for them, and to finish with their degree program of choice. With the generous support from the state of Indiana and you, we were able to place 32 success coaches, just recently announced, at 22 of our four-year institutions to work with 21st century scholars, underrepresented student groups. And of course, the Commission has placed a priority on ensuring the Indiana College Core, sort of in complement to that, is offered at all high schools. Not sure if I had shared this with you recently, but between April of 2022, where we had 84 high schools on board, to this fall, we've grown from 84 to 222 high schools now offering the Indiana College Core.
I knew it had grown, but not that much.
Well,
not more than double. That's awesome.
Well, we took it seriously when you said, let's run up the score, right?
That's right.
So let's run up the score for higher ed and those we serve. Yeah, and now more than ever, the Commission and our K-12 partners are really committed to ensuring that students are college ready, giving them that confidence, those capabilities to complete. So through multiple channels, like the Indiana College Core and the Success Coaches, we're taking proactive steps to increase enrollment and completions, and I might say taking it to the next level. Why is it beneficial, Governor, to have all of these multiple methods in place?
Well, I guess I need to start saying, keep running up the score, Chris, because that's
yes, sir.
That's very impressive coming right out of the gate. And there is more to do. So, it's kind of like the military. You don't want to leave anyone behind. And for as many people as this is working for, we need to continue to grow the pie. And it serves everyone in doing so, not just that individual, for their career path and contributing to their dignity and place in society, and they have swagger, and they start to have higher expectations each rung up the ladder they go. And it's pretty exciting to hear those testimonials. So whether it's someone trying to figure it out in high school or middle school or in a JAG program, or someone who is currently incarcerated, someone who's getting out of the military, there's all these different kind of profiles, if you will, or scenarios, walks in life, different stations that we have to address. And we literally can't leave anyone behind. We need every single able-bodied individual to work to be able to address, again, that demand that's out there in all the different sectors that are growing, not just here in Indiana, but around the world. We want our big slice of that pie, and we're going after it. And to make sure that we can, lift people up along the way, there's nothing more important.
Governor, this isn't in my script, but this is part of why I like working with you. In my view, you just talked about bringing hope to our fellow Hoosiers, expanding the pie, that American dream. And I know you probably wouldn't have let me do this, but thanks for your service also in the military. And so thank you.
Yeah, and if I could just add, let's just be honest, turn the cards face up. There is globally, you can't open a newspaper or turn on the TV and watch the news and see somewhere around the world, there is a lot of anxiety for a lot of different reasons. What you're doing, what we're attempting to do here in Indiana through incredible teachers who have such a oversized impact on not just the present, but the future. This is going right at countering that anxiety, giving folks the skills, equipping them with ultimately the confidence that they can go as far as they want. And so that's where it all comes back to, what are we doing in these current roles that we occupy to run up the score?
Well, and of course, this, probably some folks with us today know this. We introduced the HOPE agenda earlier this year. My first State of the State address, truly the most, or state of higher education, pardon me.
Yeah. Well, there's,
I'll be gone next year from you.
So,
yeah. But at the state of higher ed, and it was really inspired by these kinds of thoughts. Bringing hope, and there is tumult and turmoil around the world, and we get a chance to do that. So, as you know, with the HOPE agenda, meaning Hoosier opportunities and possibilities through education, we decided to really prioritize 7 areas on which we're focusing and intend for our state to be a top 10. We should be. You mentioned a couple of things that fit squarely within that. Of course, the second HOPE agenda priority item is about focusing on post-secondary attainment for our veterans, for those with disabilities, and of course, the justice involved. Along with you and your guidance, we prioritized our focus to include specific student and prospective student populations like those I mentioned. Of course, part and parcel to that, again, we received support that was so strong. We did a little reorganizing at the commission, and we of course have now an associate commissioner for K-12 strategy. That's all that person wakes up and thinks about every day, and an associate commissioner for adult strategy. And I'm proud to say that they are the first of their kind of any state to place such a priority on those. So I feel pleased about that. So Governor, thinking of these various things, you've been very encouraging, as I said, and supportive of these change, the shared vision and mission we have, keeping student success, of course, at the core of all these priorities moving forward. Thinking of the adults, you mentioned veterans and others, the justice involved. Why is it so important to have the state focusing on these various adult populations?
I think a couple reasons. One, and I'll go back to something I just kind of threw out there earlier, and something you threw out earlier, kind of just threw it out there, and then we moved on when you talked about how we're number 1 in the Midwest and top 5 in the country in terms of need-based financial aid. That's huge. That's going That's saying, yes, it is possible for you to go. Do not let affordability be a barrier to your future. And so start there. And when you think about those who have answered the call, maybe in harm's way, they have more than earned our support when they get home to, again, access their ladders of upward mobility in the now private sector or public sector if it's a different calling. And the justice challenged, or those who are paying back their debt to society, or those who may be perceived or thought of as disabled in one area, are proving every single day they are more than capable and able to do so much more than others might expect. And we just need to make sure that we're going that extra distance to attach programs where they are. And I always say, a lot of awareness and access can go a long way in connecting people to their future that they want. And when I think about, just as an example, or the folks that are justice challenged or serving time, to put it bluntly, we currently have the lowest recidivism rate in our state's history. It can still go lower. And every time it goes lower, those folks it's not a revolving door. They're not going back in, and taxpayers aren't then supporting. They're getting the skills that they need, or getting cleaned up, or they're getting the help that they need in terms of mental health while they're serving their time. And so they're not coming back, which is key, because then in turn that frees up dollars that can go somewhere else, maybe toward veteran programs, and it's just this virtuous cycle of, if our state is growing, our economy, can never lose sight of that, then we can prioritize areas in which to nourish. And you mentioned those three being so important, and some might say even scripturally accurate.
Wow. Again, I could not agree more. By the way, I recall, I think they were a couple of visits that you and I made to one of our prisons here in the state, and saw just some remarkable work, including at a graduation ceremony. I just wish somebody had said, bring tissues.
Right.
It was just incredibly moving.
Not a dry eye.
Not a dry eye, and just seeing lives changed in front of our eyes. So, well, Governor, thinking of those students specifically, but even more broadly, all of our students, again, with your support, just, incredible wide support from the General Assembly, this past legislative session, we were able to partner and redesign the outcomes-based performance funding formula for our state higher ed institutions. And, this, of course, really hadn't been changed significantly in many years, but we received support and worked collaboratively with folks to align to three key priority areas: enrollment, facing that challenge and saying, let's go tackle it; continuing to keep the gas pedal down on completions; but then also adding newly graduate retention. I have to share with our audience, you and I have talked about this before, that the first time I think you and I really had a serious conversation with you, I kind of made a joke and I said, so, hey, Governor, I've got this great idea around grad retention. Roadblocks in May.
I remember.
Yeah, you told me no. Apparently, Superintendent Carter would have a problem with that. And so you said that wasn't possible. So we agreed, though, that we should be focusing on grad retention and really retaining that human capital here in Indiana. So retaining that human capital. Talk with us about why we should be doing that, prioritizing graduate retention, talent retention here, and why does this impact all Hoosiers, not just those graduates, but all of our fellow Hoosiers, to help keep those folks here in Indiana?
Well, we're only going to go as far as our talent takes us, just the bottom line. And with the technology churn or advancements that are happening at a scale and a pace unprecedented, that can be exciting, and that can also be daunting or intimidating for everyone. And because it has such a systemic ripple effect throughout society, not just for the individual that says, well, my job still be relevant in 1 year or 5 years. And so the necessity to make sure that the talent is of the skill level that is needed today, because the market usually has the last word. And we have to be very mindful of that. And we're blessed in Indiana to have a K through 12 system, a community college system, all the public and private universities, tethered to communities and sectors. This is why that when a student comes to our state or is born and raised here and they go to their favorite college or university, we got to keep every single one of them. And there is opportunity here. So that's why the programs and our plans continue to focus on let's groom what we have, invest in our own, and then let's keep more who step on Hoosier soil to begin with. And that'll help us create separation between us and the competition.
Yeah, and Governor, it's just been incredible. I've talked about this, to see all of our institutions just piling on to this strategy of retaining talent here in Indiana. And yeah, you're right. We want to keep them here. And as the economy changes rapidly, we need folks even more so, grooming our own talent, as you said, folks who are born Hoosiers and those who are Hoosiers by choice.
And this is really lifelong learning. And I think our colleges and universities and our K through 12 system sees these pathways as never ending. And so with Indiana being the number one manufacturing state per capita in the country, that's all about advanced manufacturing. To have the research and the development, the being able to apply what you learned while you're still learning, and then go work for that business or company in whatever sector, and then be able to go back and get credentialed or the proper certificate or another degree. That's quite the advantage, to having all that so close. Not every state is afforded those type of assets.
Couldn't agree more. And it is lifelong learning. You alluded to also that, the various sectors, our communities and so forth. And that makes me think of what I think is just a really unique and strong asset about Indiana. And it's our ability to collaborate across sectors. You get calls all the time, I do, from folks in other states going, y'all like each other, don't you? And you seem to work well together, and it's true. Strategic partnerships are really critical to success of streamlining the education to workforce pipeline, ensuring Indiana education is aligned with meeting the needs of the workforce, and reciprocally ensuring students are equipped with skills to be successful, as you said. As you know, Governor, we are being very intentional. One of your favorite words, my favorite words, Katie Jenner's favorite words, being very intentional about what we call our partnership pentagon. It's that recognition, right, that it can't be just government. Education has to be part of it. Business has got to be part of it. Philanthropy with their thought leadership and kind of their social venture capital. And of course, community and faith-based organizations. I have to share this with you. I don't know if I've shared this with you. All thinking back to 21st Century Scholars this past session, folks would bump into me, out eating or even up on the third floor of the State House, and eventually got to the point where somebody'd go, "Hey, is that 21st Century Scholars bill the Indiana Chambers bill?" And I'd go, "Yep, you're right." Somebody'd say, "Is that the Indiana Latino Institute's bill?" And I'd say, "Yeah, you're right." And the point is, the bill was theirs. It was all of ours, right? You could just see that. So share with us, if you don't mind, how you see these cross-sector partnerships continuing and growing, and what are some of the ways that all of us can think about utilizing these partnerships, these collaborative partnerships, to drive efforts and outcomes?
Well, partnerships make all the difference in the world, and you just articulate. I think you need to copyright the partnership pentagon, because that is just proof that it works. And we are, again, fortunate, blessed whatever word you want to use, I praise it because it's infectious in a good way. It feeds off of itself how we try to operate harmoniously. And I get, CEOs that are talking to me all the time will say, there's something different about Indiana in a really good way. And it's what you said. You hear the same thing from you or me because we're in unison, and we have the same goal and mission, and so we're constantly not just in contact, but we're executing, implementing, got our ear to the ground, and getting notes from the road, and then applying those to what needs to be done. And whether it's a Boys and Girls Club or the Scouts or the YMCA, all these, or a foundation, as you mentioned, philanthropic endeavors, the private sector, businesses, our educational system from pre-K to PhD, all of us have a seat at the table. And we're all having this family conversation about our hopes and dreams and needs and challenges and opportunities. And I think that's what truly does set Indiana kind of apart. And then that's translated into an ease of interaction with the quote unquote system of upward mobility and how you're going to get there. And so everything that we can do to, increase the ease, increase awareness, increase access, make it more affordable, make sure that folks are prepared for what's out there waiting on them, then this is gonna lead to yet another good year.
Governor, couldn't agree more. And on behalf of everyone with us today, I personally know you have an incredibly busy schedule. And
this is exciting. This is like fires me up just to see how much is happening. Now we got to go share that.
Well, and that's why we wanted you here today, because you've been fired up about it. You've been leading the charge. On a personal level, I couldn't thank you more for your leadership, your partnership, your friendship, that for a long time. So we're grateful, and thank you for being here today.
Good to be on the team.
Well, we are already beginning to see, as you know, the impact of these initiatives, and I am really hopeful that the impact is going to continue to grow and shape a thriving place Indiana is to the folks who want to be here. So thank you also to all of you who've tuned in for hours of engagement with us today. We're just so delighted. When I heard from Madison this morning, we were around 1,000 attendees. I was just absolutely delighted. I know all of you have busy schedules too, and this is important work. And the fact of the matter is we can't do this without all of you. So I encourage you today to be really engaged, grab a hold of the resources that we're making available in these breakout sessions. This, you're on the front lines, that being able to impact positively the lives of our fellow Hoosiers is, it's a real calling. Like you, Governor, I feel fortunate, I feel blessed that all of you joined us online this morning. And Governor, thanks again for being with us today and for all of your support and leadership.